right, hello. So today we are looking at lesson 14B. 14B is really just a review of what we've already been doing. So a little background knowledge, 16.8 divided by 1.4. Remember, we can't divide by a decimal, so we move it. And so we just do that division as normal. 168 divided by 14. How many 14s can I take out of 16? Well, that'd be 1. That gives me 14. I have 2 left over. Bring down the 8. How many 14s can I take out of 28? Well, that would be 2. That gives me exactly 28, nothing left over, and so this answer would just be 12. Little background knowledge, remember how to do multiplication, 14 times 8. So we're going to stack that up like this, and we get 32, carry the 3, and right here we get 11. So that means our answer would be 112. All right, so remember, we have been multiplying, dividing decimals, fractions, positives, negatives, everything else, but do we actually know what's going on here? So number 1, will the product of 3/4 times 1/4 be bigger or smaller than each factor? Explain without actually finding the product. So right here, this is just getting you to realize that 3/4 times 1/4 means 3/4 of a group of 1/4. So 3/4 of 1/4 means that we're taking a fourth and splitting it up. Don't mind that bell. Splitting it up into groups of 3/4. So our actual answer will be smaller. Answer will be smaller because we're breaking it up. Let's look over here to number 2. Explain the value of the product 3/4 of 2. So if we think about this, 3/4 of 2, that means I'm splitting up 2 into 4 pieces and then taking just 3 of those. So our answer will actually be smaller than 2. Answer should be smaller than 2 because we're breaking it up. We're breaking up that 2 into smaller groups. Okay, so that's what we're thinking of here. Let's skip number 3 and go to number 4. Will the quotient of 3/4 divided by 1/4 be bigger or smaller? And this time, it's actually going to be bigger. And so when we're thinking of fractions, just remember to estimate first. So some of these get a little bit tricky. What we're actually going to skip to is right here. Estimating something like this, because this is what we've seen show up a few times, and I want to make sure that you have a realistic answer. So when we estimate, we're going to look at just the whole number portion. So we're going to say this is about equal to. So to make the about equal to sign, it's like equal to with a couple waves. So this is about equal to -9 times -8. So if we think about it that way, well, a negative times a negative is a positive, and 9 times 8 is 72. So that tells me when I actually figure this out, I should get something around 72, but a little bit more, because 8 1/4 is a little bit more than just 8. So let's actually figure this out. Remember, we would take this number 9 and put it over 1, and the other one we do big by the bottom, add the top. So 8 times 4 is 32, plus the one up top is 33 over 4. And so let's see if we can cross reduce. We can't this time, and so we're actually going to have to work out that multiplication. Negative times a negative is a positive. Down here we would get 4. And up top, let's see, 33 times 9. 33 times 9, well, that's going to be 27. Carry the 2, and so that gives me 29. So I get 297/4. All right, so now obviously that's an improper fraction. So let's go ahead and divide that so we can see how many wholes we can take out of there. So 297 divided by 4. We can take 7 groups of 4 out of 29. That would give me 28. Subtract. I would have 1 left over. Bring down the 7. How many groups of 4 can I take out of 17? Well, I could take out 4. That would give me 16. And I would have 1 left over. And so I see that the actual answer here would be 74 1/4. So when I look back to my estimate and then look to my actual answer, we notice that they're pretty much the same. So if we had to guess around how much it would be, we would know this would be a little more than 72. How much exactly? 74 1/4. All right, let's try that again. Number 7 down here. let's estimate first. So when we estimate, we use the little squiggle lines. So estimating this would be about -3 times, well, that's almost 1 because it's 7/9. That's almost 9/9. So I'm going to say that that's about 1. So my estimate would be that this is about -3. So that's my estimate. Now let's actually see what we get. Big by the bottom at the top would give me -10/3 times 7/9. And again, this time I cannot cross-reduce either pair of numbers, so we just go ahead and do that multiplying. We would get -70 over 27. Now, how many groups of 27 can I take out of 70? Well, I'm going to guess around 3. So let's check that. 27 times 3. That gives me 21. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Well, 3 was a little bit too much, and so let's try and see what we get with 2. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And so I'm safe taking out 2 there. I would get -2, and what would I have left? Well, 70, take away that 54 that worked. We would borrow, and 10 minus 4 would be 6. 6 minus 5 would be 1. So I would have 16/27 left over. Well, if we look at our estimate and we look at what we actually got, we got -2 and a little more than a half. Well, that would round up to -3, or round down, however you see it. So our estimate is actually pretty close. So if we had to estimate this, if we were measuring things, or if we were going to Home Depot to go buy something, we might want to use an estimate and round up so that we have enough stuff. All right, let's try that one more time. Number 8, let's look at this estimate. So 5 1/4 divided by -3 1/4, or -3/4. So we would have about, so for our estimate, I would use about 5 divided by about -1. Okay, I'm just rounding to the nearest whole number with each of these. So 5 divided by -1 would give me -5. So that tells me my answer should be around -5. Now, it might be a little more, might be a little less, but let's see what we get when we actually work this out. Big by the bottom at the top would be 20, and 1 would be 21/4 divided by -3/4. Remember, keep, change, flip, so 21/4 would be multiplied by -4/3. And this time we can do a whole lot of cross-reducing. Thank goodness. I love cross-reducing. So 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 4 once. 3 and 21 are both divisible by 3. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 21 7 times, and we get the actual answer of, let's see, -7/1, which is just -7. Now, this time our estimate was pretty close, and I would consider our estimate pretty close if we're within a few whole numbers of the actual answer. So the actual answer here would be -7. Our estimate would be -5. And so you see that we can always estimate before actually working out the problem. Now, the homework today and the exit ticket will require you to actually work out the problem, so don't forget to do that. But you should always estimate first to make sure that what you're getting is reasonable. See you soon. Bye-bye for now.